Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Ryan Selvy. This is File New, your best source of creator news, art news, and design news. Today, we've got a lot of news for you. We've got the unfinished film. We've got Penguin updating its typeface to be more accessible. We have usually, your font of the week, where you guys get to vote on the font of a typeface that's available on Adobe Fonts. That then we look into the origins and the type of style that it is and how you can use it. Then we all vote as a community together and we go over it. We've got some resources for you, some fun hyperlinks, all that jazz. Make sure that you're in the YouTube chat so you're able to vote on the polls as we get into it. But without further ado, let's hop into our first segment, which is always the news. Hot off the presses from this morning is a update about Threads. It achieved its best milestone yet. This is 400 million monthly active users. Monthly active users, which is closing in on the gap that X currently has on mobile. This is reported on Fast Company by Emily Price. The article goes into depth a little bit more about the statistics and analytics that are how they're measuring it. Sometimes it's on mobile, sometimes it's on the computer. Monthly active users versus daily active users. I know a lot of people use Threads, people use X, people use Blue Sky, people use Mastodon. There has been an influx of a bunch of different text-based services over the last 2 years. Threads has slowly but surely continued to close its gap on top of X, which was formerly known as Twitter. Right now, it says that in the US, there are 15.3 million daily mobile users for Threads versus 22.9 million for X. Apparently, X's daily active users in June have been falling 15% year over year. And this comes as no surprise. You have obviously that initial huge boost of 100 million users right in the first week that Threads launched, and then they continued to build momentum, and Instagram has really been using it as a off-ramp point in Instagram when you're going down the thread to go into Threads itself. I don't particularly love using Threads, but I do find myself in the app pretty regularly because I'll be swiping through my Instagram feed and then it'll just pop up and I'll click in and suddenly I'm in Threads and I find myself scrolling. So interesting to see that this continues to evolve. It's also interesting to see that this is the first time in my experience with these social media presences that there are multiple rivals that are continuing to still develop and still have a lot of active users. In the article itself, it talks about Blue Sky, which we all know is my favorite, but it talks about how it's an under competitor, but it's still existing. Mastodon is still existing. Threads actually has integration where you can use the Fediverse, so it has access to Mastodon as well, which is, it's interesting. Bruce is in the chat saying, never got into Threads. This is a live stream after all, so if you guys do have comments and ideas, opinions, thoughts, suggestions, please go ahead and throw them in the chat while we're here. I want to say hello to Oliver and Penny. Thanks for being here as always. Bruce and Cody is also here. Blackberry, thanks for making the jump from the last stream as well. I would love to meet you guys in person. I got the opportunity to meet a bunch of people in person last week. We went to the Brooklyn Brewery, which I learned had the logo designed by Milton Glaser, which is the same guy that developed the I Love New York logo. And I was like, oh, that's cool that there is kind of this crossover. It's also weird to know that those two people and things existed at the same time. I know he only died a few years ago, but still, it's just he seems so classic and the brewery seems so new. But it was cool. We met up with a bunch of people. There probably are some familiar faces in there if you've been to any Adobe events. Hello to Virgil One and Winter Powell. This is something of a new initiative that is coming up through Adobe, being headed by Katie Burke, who is right here in the center of this photo, right next to me. Oops, I just put a little red dot on her face. And there we are, side by side. I was a little dweeb, and I had a polo on, even though everybody else looked cool, because I was coming from another Adobe event. This right here is the brand ambassador, the head designer for Brooklyn Brewery, and so she gave a talk, and that is how we ended up learning about it. But there will be future events. This one was in New York, obviously, but I know that Katie, pictured again right here, also this is me, that there will be upcoming events, I believe, in Chicago and maybe even Los Angeles, I believe, and then of course there's always New York as well. But this was really cool. Is Brooklyn Creatives, she made this fun little what you might call it, chalkboard, and you can find out more about it on Meet Creatively on Instagram. That's MEET and then CREATIVELY. It's always just a good place. There are a bunch of people from different backgrounds, different creatives. I love meeting people. If you want to work with other creatives, though, and you're not necessarily getting out of the out of the house or out of the city, out of the state, there is a new initiative by Adobe, and this was posted on the Adobe blog by Stacy Martinet, and it is the unfinished film, where your imagination leads and AI follows. This is a film that was directed by Sam Finn, with intentionally not having the completion for the entire thing, and it is then relying on other people to take their stay and their voice and put it into it, using Firefly as a tool to be able to elevate creatives, not replace them. This is something that you would then be able to download what is already in progress, and then you can make your edits and put them into Firefly. Then you then upload them onto social media and you tag it with the unfinished film, and then they will be able to go through them. If you're looking for inspiration as to what other people did, there were actually 3 artists that Adobe already picked out to do their own, and you can find them in the blog post that is linked in the Raindrop. Today's links and all previous links as well are available in the Raindrop. It has different episodes, and you just go to today's episode. You can see that Phil Cohen was a part of this. Who else? Jad Casis and Keenan Lamb all have different pieces of work in here. I'm going to mute this just so we don't mess with anything, but you can see the different ways that different artists are taking this surreal environment and leveraging Firefly to make really cool things, and then have a basis and then go from the basis. And it's a cool new way to collaborate, or at least even just get ideas going. So make sure you go and you see if it's something that you'd be interested in doing. And if you do, please let me know. Please give me a tag. You could always find us over on the Discord. There is an Adobe Live Discord that you can join. And for the Adobe Live Discord, there is a file new channel where we can always chat. I like to put different links and comments and different things that are happening throughout the week when we're not live, to then be able to even come back to them on the show, or just be able to talk to them if we're not going to be able to talk with them. Valder is joining us in the chat. Thank you for being here. Apurva's here. Thank you guys for showing up. It's always really nice to see familiar faces. Also, if you're new here, though, you're feeling shy and you don't want to say hi, that's okay. But if you also want to say hi, would love to see you in the chat, just to see that you're here and to see what you're interested in. I also love to hear the stories that you guys are interested in. If you're like, next story, that is something that is valuable feedback, as long as it is said with love. But let's talk a little bit more about videos, because I think that is such a developing part of the creative experience. We were just talking with Fabiola Lara on the previous video. The live stream, what we just got off of, that I also hosted, she was saying that she recently was invited by the 76ers to create this basketball and this bucket hat, and they were the things that they handed out to people when they entered the stadium. And it was a dream of hers, and it was this whole process. And then she got home from it, and she never really made content about it, because this happened in March, and now it's August. And she was, kind of kicking herself, saying, like, I never created this. But so much of being a creative now is making videos and being able to document your work, not with just a photo, not with just a post, but being able to actually post about it. So I feel like a lot of creatives are using YouTube. It's one of the biggest things that is consumed in media. But they are announcing today, yesterday, that they're going to begin testing a new AI-powered age verification system in the U.S. And this is different than the UK one, because the UK one, they were using this kind of either government ID, or you were using some sort of kind of video that was able to identify who was what, and then they would be able to then make the changes on the verification system. For the US specifically, they are trying out a new approach where it is looking at the content that people are watching and interacting with. And even if they say that, they are 45 years old, but then they're only watching Cocomelon, there's probably a good chance that the 45-year-old is not watching Cocomelon. Of course, if it is wrong, you can always upload a state-issued ID, and it was able to switch it out. But it is something that they are beta testing right now, rolling it out to only a few people and seeing how to adjust things. They're trying to find ways to protect kids online. Obviously, there are also a few initiatives and groups that say that then this could also hurt the First Amendment. So it's always interesting to see any of these new policy changes and ideas affecting the social structure. But when you're creating work, just keep in mind that maybe your analytics might change, or maybe your different things of your audience will suddenly kind of shift, and this might be part of it, and just something to keep in mind. What do we have in the chat? We have Valder coming in and saying hello, and Valder is also saying, when I'm late on content, I always do a TBT as an excuse to post, which is great. I mean, Throwback Thursday is a really great way to be able to dig up old content. I think that finding any real excuse to be able to document is just going to help you document more in the future. It's kind of that paralyzing fear of being like, I can't post that, it's been too long, that then just kind of perpetuates itself, and then you just end up never posting anything because you're always scared that you didn't post the last thing soon enough. But the Bruce is saying that he caught the end of the video that we were just on the live stream, and he needs to get his video game up with Premiere. I would agree with that. I would love to see what you're working on. But that's enough about video. Let's talk about audio, which is also a big part of video. 11 Labs, which is a AI company that is more notably known with being able to replicate voices. I've actually used it with the permission of the talent. I've used it before to recreate someone's voice when the mic was an issue on a piece of content that we had filmed, and I wanted to get a re-record. She lives out of state. I didn't want to have to worry about having to record it, and instead what we did is we made a duplicate of her voice using 11 Labs. Now, as of August 5th, according to Amanda Silverling on TechCrunch, she says, 11 Labs launches an AI music generator, which it claims is cleared for commercial use. And you guys know that that is a very big initiative for Adobe, is that commercial use is very important. Adobe does not currently have a music generator, and this is the first of my knowledge to kind of be offered and also used with commercial use. So it caught my attention when it came across my screen. Of course, as with anything else, I feel like there is something to be said about real music. I don't think the top 20 is about to be all AI music generated things. There is something about actually having the soul and the idea and the art. But I do think that if you're having elevator music in the background, that isn't something that you're necessarily looking for deep, profound movement on, or maybe for a prompt or something. They said that one can even feature a synthetic voice that can rap about how it came up through the cracks with my ambition in my pocket and left its hometown traveling from Compton to the cosmos. So it's definitely focusing on something. Last year, Suno and Udio were sued by the Recording Industry Association of America, the trade organization that represents the U.S. music industry, and the lawsuits allege that Suno and Udio trained their music generation models on copyrighted material. The companies are now reportedly discussing licensing deals with major record labels. So, developing story, interesting to see, but something to follow nonetheless. Moving back to more in-meeting person topics, the XR Motion crew, which is one of the largest motion meetups in the country, as far as I know, is having their first XR Motion conference, and this is going to be on October 25th, 2025, at the Yard. You can go ahead and access all of the link and information through the link in the raindrop. You can get tickets online right now at the time of broadcast. They are $107. They have a bunch of speakers, though, including Michelle Cortez, John Lepore, AJ Hassenfratz, and Patrick Foley. It is going to be 11 hours long. It is in person. Doors open at 10 a.m. It says, join us at NYU Tandon at the Yard for a day filled with all things XR and motion technology. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this event is perfect for anyone interested in the future of immersive experiences. Dive into workshops, panel discussions, and demos led by industry experts. Connect with like-minded individuals and expand your network in the XR community. Don't miss out on the opportunity to explore the cutting edge of technology and innovation. Bree is in the chat saying that she is going to an Adobe meetup in San Francisco tonight, and she's so excited. I love the meetups in San Francisco, particularly. There is commentary that apparently there is no raindrop in the description. So you know what we're going to do, folks? We're going to go ahead and we're going to just plop that baby right into the chat. That way you guys are able to access the links if you want to. You can also always navigate to old raindrops as well. And through the old raindrops, you are able to navigate between the episodes on the left-hand side of the screen. But sorry there for the mix-up without you being able to get the links. If you are on the other side of the country and you are in LA, there is a Safe Space LA meetup. Safe space is a funny kind of word because of the safe space in your composition, and it is an Adobe Substance 3D and Laundry event. This is something that apparently they've done like 5 or 6 times before. It is, they say, over the past few years, we went to a lot of design conferences, were inspired by countless speakers, and made tons of new friends, but we realized we don't have a 3D meetup in Los Angeles, especially post-pandemic and now working from home. Countless artists explained how they missed fellow artists in person. We thought, let's change that, and Safe Space was born, a DIY hangout out of LA, visiting artists and those passionate about the 3D visual arts. This is something that's happening on the 21st, so you still have about a little over a week if you're interested in going, but you can check them out at safe-space-la.com. And then the last piece of news that we have for today is Nicer Tuesdays, which I plan on going to on September 9th. This is hosted by It's Nice That. I believe we even mentioned this on a previous episode of File New. It's a really fun time. It's hosted at the School of Visual Arts Theater, and it brings in different artists, and they have different like one-on-one discussions in front of the audience and talk about process. And they're normally very high-regarded artists that have great experience. They're not overwinded, they're not too long, they're not drawn out, and it's also just a really good time to go and be really inspired and learn how people got to where they are. For this specific instance of the one in SVA Theater, it's going to feature the artists Michael Beirut, who is a graphic designer, design critic, and educator who's been a partner at the design firm Pentagram since 1990. It has Andrew B. Myers, who is a Brooklyn-based photographer and art director who found success with clients such as Airbnb, Apple, Dolce & Gabbana, The Guardian, Microsoft, Netflix, and many more. It has Madeline Montoya, who is a Texas-born, New York-based creative director and designer with a burning passion for all things editorial as art director of Business Week and creative director of the independent magazine Byline. And then finally, it has Tina Tona, who is a LA-based photo collage artist who's cutting up magazines and found ephemera to explore the richness of diaspora Black expression, exploring her dual heritage through pop culture and collage. Her expressive works pop with saturated colors and organized noise, creating a meaningful connection between materials. And yeah, they're all going to be there. It's going to be a great time. Tickets are on sale. I believe they're like $27 if I believe right. And if you end up going, please let me know. Hop into the Discord and let me know you'll be there. Because, yeah, it was a great time. Valdare says, I wish I wasn't on the other side of the continent. Yeah, no, I feel that. Upper says, yes, laundry. Can you talk a bit more like meetup over laundry? No, it's not laundry in that way. It's laundry as in, what is it? Laundry 3D. Right? It says laundry. Laundry Studio? I think it's Laundry Studio. Yes, it's Laundry Studio. That's what it is, which is a Los Angeles based studio that is 3D. And you can find them at laundry.studio. All right, guys, now off to the favorite part of everyone's File New episode, Font of the Week. As always, we're going to have 3 different options for Font of the Week, and I'm going to put up a poll, and we're going to vote on who deserves this pretty little crown. But as always, make sure you don't vote too early, because if you do, you might end up regretting your choice. We have 3 very different typefaces. I tried to go and get a wide variety here, because I always want to make it so it's something that's intriguing and maybe not just the same old like sans serif or serif fonts that you might be using for boring projects. But when you get to have a little bit more creativity, and use these sparingly, obviously. But we have Karak, Murosalt, and Placato, which are 3 different typefaces from 3 different foundries. Starting off with this cute little Karak one, which I don't know if it's pronounced crack, like a crack in the sidewalk, or if it's like Caraque. It comes in 5 weights, solid and melted extremes. It says, according to their website, that it is a delicious sans typeface designed for impactful display setting across diverse media, playful in design, and inspired by melting chocolate. Its variable font has weight and melt axis for a versatile expression that can be both humorous and down to earth. On the side, we have example with using the typeface just activated directly in Photoshop. But I want to go and switch out the word example 1 with the words file new. I think this is a good example of a fun and engaging typeface that is probably really useful for maybe kids content. I like to have kind of like illustrative words also reflect the illustrative nature of children's content, making it feel approachable and kind. I don't think this is something that you would necessarily use for something that needs to take itself too seriously. If you look on their website, which is Delton Mag, who are the people that created it, they do a really good job of showing it in different experiences. They have one here with like Friday, and it's like 180 degrees Celsius and shows it interacting, being really fat. I don't think that you would use this very much at scale for long paragraphs as much as I would for a display font, especially once it gets really messy and really melty into other things, because it can get real fat. If you look into the melted and look at black, it's barely legible. It's just kind of a big old blob. But yeah, it's available obviously on Adobe Creative Cloud, and you can just go on and you can activate it. But that's our first one. Then following that, we also have Murosalt. I decided to pick all ones this week that are apparently hard to say, evidently. And Valder is saying, let's hear the Foundry's arguments. Why should you be the font of the week and not your competitors? Yeah, let's bring them in. Let's have them go side, head to head, see who can sell their typeface the most. Clever saying crack is whack, yo. And Penny saying, I think crack is a cutie. Gloves are off, says Penny, for the fight between foundries. We also always really like to look at glyphs, which I forgot to do almost. They're pretty standard here. As we scroll down, is there anything fun at the bottom? No, not really, but it does have a lot of support for different symbols and punctuation. So if it's something that you need to use in a different language other than English, it looks like you probably have some luck. Also, if you need to do math, which I don't know why you would be using some of these math symbols with this typeface. I guess if you're really trying to be like funky and fun, but you're also like need to do your calculus homework, this is something that you could do. But I don't know if I would ever like put some sort of, I don't know, sine and tangents in here. But I digress. We're spending too much time on that one. Let's hop over to Murosalt. Murosalt is by the Foundry Universal Thirst, story of my life. And it's designed by Gunnar Vigilmalson, Kalapi Gajar, Paul Sturm, and Tabia OTT. They say that it is a graceful headline typeface based on a popular 20th century style, but with a few quirky twists. It's a typeface that echoes a design used widely in the early 20th century, born from burgeoning arts and crafts movement. Murosalt was originally designed for the gourmand and is intended as a display typeface for use in headlines and subheadings in magazines and newspapers. So this is the big boys for you guys. This is the one that you want to use as the breadwinner at the top of your work. Nice big display. It's very clean. It has so many weights available for you, all on Adobe Fonts. You can go all the way from the ultra condensed thin all the way to the ultra extended black. So you can go all the way from here all the way down to here. So it has lots of flexibility. It is very legible. It's very easy to read and understand what's going on. The X axis is pretty much split through the middle, it seems. You can see that the E and the W come up halfway through around the N. I like the curvature of the N. You guys know I always like it when they do that at the bottom, but I also like the little boots and hats that they've got. As far as glyphs go, they have a goofy little dotted circle, so hats off to them for there. And then down on the bottom, they also have a lot of symbols. They have some arrows, some funky looking arrows, some diamonds, and then your math symbols for your calculus homework. Trademark, number signs, you name it. Who's doing their calc homework, by the way, while they're watching File Now? Penny saying, "Wow, Murasalt sounds a little full of itself, to be honest." Yeah, you gotta take their personality into effect as well. Penny always says that the glyphs can make or break it if it has sparkles, and I also agree with that. Lindsay Taylor says, "I typically have a clear-cut favorite, but these all have something spunky to love." Yay! I'm making it difficult. Yay! All right. Then let's take a look at our last one here, which is Placato, which this one definitely would never in a million years be your body copy. If this is ever going to be your body copy, it's like, turn in your designer card. It says it is a small family of happy, no-nonsense display fonts that you call for help when your message needs to be heard or seen. Short and to the point, which is, a little bit different than the one that we just looked at. This one's coming to us from the folks at Underwear, which is spelled Underware. You can see that on the Adobe Fonts page. They do a really cool job of making like a fragile sign. You can see when it gets down here, it gets a little bit weird, but I think if you use it sparingly, especially with a lot of hierarchy and emphasis, you can make some really cool stuff. I like this silence please example, and just how easy it is to read and how it doesn't necessarily feel like a stencil as much as it feels like a design choice. It comes in a bunch of different weights that have different styles, like inline and then these crazy kind of drop shadows, so you don't have to do like the duplicate down left. And then it also even has a whole thing of its own dingbats, but a separate dingbats pro. So if they are a big deal, even a stencil pro kind of when it goes outside. But like if you're looking for glyphs to be your indicator of a winner, you're gonna definitely be voting for Placato. We're gonna put in File New real quick. I'm gonna look with this weight and style. If we go all the way down here, they have it. They have all the little glyphs. They have smiley faces. They have smiley faces that feel cohesive with the rest of the typeface. Is this also a Jason mask? That's hilarious. Crazy little eyes, a skull. That's it. Look at that. That kind of looks like One Piece, to be honest, though. That's kind of funny. I never got into One Piece, but I have friends that love One Piece. They also have little pointers. File New. And so, yeah, this comes from Underwear, and it is available in Adobe Fonts, as always. Bruce says if they don't have glyphs, it's a hard pass. And then Voltaire says, "Oh no, I just made a whole newspaper out of Placato." Bruce says that he thinks that he is voting Placato. Saw a glimpse of those glyphs. Yes, it goes a long way. Umacorn is having fun in the chat as well. I mean, obviously I'm going to see the final result of votes. We already have 8 votes in here, and there's a tie between Placato and Murasalt. But if you guys vote and you have a reason as to why you're voting for one, I would love to hear it. I'm not going to shame you, unless it's all in jest. But I think that any of the winners this week would be fine winners if it were up to me. But it's not up to me. It's up to you. And while you guys are voting, there are a few other type stories that I wanted to touch on since we're about halfway through our show. Both are from It's Nice That, who are the people who put on the Nicer Tuesdays that we were just talking about, but they're also a fantastic, and probably foremost, a fantastic publication that is talking all about creativity, and it's a great place to find different inspiration and thought pieces about the art world and the design world. The first one that I want to talk about comes from Ellis Tree, and it is Kieran Birch on crafting custom word marks and harboring a half-baked bank of typefaces. This is a feature that goes on the idea of creating word marks or logos that are specifically drawn and created to have specific typefaces. So sometimes if you look up a different typeface and you're like, I want to know what, and this is an example, I don't know if this is true or not, but it's like, I want to know the typeface that's used in the logo for Applebee's, and you look up it and they're like, that font doesn't exist because they drew all of the letters, and you're like, well, I can't use it. Part of it is to say that that is a great thing, because then no one can use that typeface and then turn it into something that is, detrimental to your brand. But then at the same time, it's like, what if it's just a really good typeface and then it loses its ability to be able to be used as a typeface? This is a cool walkthrough on how world build with words and an update on his type design career to date. It is not a short read, but it's not going to take you too long. You can probably make a bathroom trip out of it. And it has really great examples. I don't want to spoil too much of it. I also don't want to take away too much from their reporting. But it is an inspiring way, and it makes me want to draw some words, even though I specifically wasn't sure if I was going to do graphic design in college, because I was like, I don't know if I care about typography enough. Here I am hosting a live show every week and talking about the font of the week. So look where we got there. Paul Moore is also at It's Nice That, and he's reporting on Inclusive Sans, which expands upon Penguin's history with playfulness and curiosity. Accessibility and boldness are the key focus in Olivia King's customized typeface for the publishing giant. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Penguin House. They have printed every single book that you've ever had to read in high school. I don't know, we're talking about high school so much this week, between calculus and like English class. But this is a really nice breakdown of being able to create styles that are universal, that they can be applied and feel tangible for the experience of classics and American classics, but also new and emerging titles that they also are being able to publish, but then at the same time still making it fully accessible for everybody. Specifically running the forms like A and G. It says Olivia and her team designed the typeface to be friendly and approachable, echoing the accessible nature of Penguin's books. Subtle flicks and other letters add a sense of movement and liveliness. Meanwhile, small details in the glyph set offer observant readers moments of delight, such as curvy characters such as 2, G, or question mark, following the same form as the penguin's wings. It's a great round out of paying attention to type and finding places to have fun, even when it is just a sans serif typeface. I think they did a really great job. I love the arrow set that look like little penguin feet. It's so cute. They even have it like go across the page at one point. And it's just a nice write-up, and it makes me say, oh, that's the fun part of type. That is exciting and still accessible and clean. And fun to see the different glyphs of the different penguins. Because who doesn't love a penguin, right? It's crazy. Take a second to breathe that in. What do you guys say if we go into hyperlinks? Let's do some hyperlinks. I'm curious about reporting on this one because I am not sure what I can pull up and what I can't pull up. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to pull it up on the screen, off screen, and I'll tell you what it is while I pull it up, and then I'll make sure that I find a good spot for it, and then I'll show you guys what we're at. What this website is it is an open source website that gives you a spot of the world. Okay? It's just a map of the world, and the cool thing about it is you can paint on top of any point. And you can see as you zoom in, which I'm going to move over here. We're going to like move it. I'm going to zoom into what spot? I just want to make sure that nobody drew anything inappropriate that then is on here. Yep, there's some bad words. There's some bad words. There's some bad words. So definitely don't open this if you're straight up at work. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find an appropriate spot. I felt like I did the other day. Do you guys think poop is fine? Can I put poop? Can I put poop on the screen? All right, this says poop on the screen. All right. So you can see here, people have drawn all different stuff. People have drawn like Sonic or Tails. When you go to actually paint yourself, you can see that you have to verify that you're human, but also it gives you a speed at which you can paint. So a lot of these ones are people that have really taken their time to be able to create this stuff. But it's fun. You can zoom into your own like hometown, and you can see like who is on top of your your child's at home, you can zoom into your own spot, you can see where you are now, and just like a fun part of the good internet when people come together and just make cool things. I know I said I couldn't pull things up because they were bad words, but like they weren't necessarily aggressive bad words, they were just like people being goofy. So it definitely feels like good internet, and that's available just at wplace.live. And if you guys end up drawing anything yourself, make sure you take a screenshot and you send it to me, because that would be fun to see. Then also as an update on the Tiny Awards, this is coming from waxy.org, which is a great website that gives a bunch of different updates on different creative stuff and inspiration and goofy websites. Tiny Awards have now released their list of finalists that represent the best of the small, poetic, creative, handmade web. Voting is now open and runs until the end of this month, closing on September 1st. You can see that there are a few here that we've actually already covered on the show, and other ones that have not. There's one of like a daily digest of food and media that makes up Shen's diet. There is also the internet road trip, which one we went over forever ago, which is like people are deciding which way to drive on a open road for Google Maps. But if you guys end up finding one and you want to advocate for winning, we looked at this one last week for cloud gazing. All of these are available to vote on just right on the Tiny Awards website. And you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 finalists, and then they will announce it later. But fun to see. Have you guys been playing around with any of these or not? Let's see. Vladimir said, I saw the animation of the penguin logo throughout the years, one with the penguin partner facing the other side. Very cool. Oh, that is neat. Vandal says, holy moly, am I seeing a tan? Yes, you are seeing a tan. I'm getting married and I got a tan. I'll tell you guys just because I like you guys, but I look a little crazy now, but I have to wear it like all day before I can then shower it off. So I look tan, but it's not real. It's okay. It's for a wedding. All right. What should we go into next? You guys want to go into Rebrand? Let's check out Rebrand because we only have 3 this week. We have about 15 minutes left. I got a bunch of resources for you, but let's hop into Rebrand because that feels more timely than anything else, and anything else can be pushed off as well. Thanks for the sunburnt face, Bruce. I'm trying not to look sunburnt because I burn like a peach. All right. From our friends at Brand New. Brand New is from the Under Consideration boys. They do a really great website that you can pay to get deep analysis on logo updates, spotted logos, you name it. But they also provide just kind of the fact of being like, this has been rebranded as a free service. So I pay for it and I have the full rundown, which is always nice to see. But this is from just their free version. So this is Red Octane. They are a video game company. You can see on the left that they kind of had this pixelated logo mock-up. Now they have now switched over to this symmetrical flame that is black and white. It is sans serif. They got rid of any kind of idea of 8-bit. My assumption is that they're trying to update the brand and make it feel less low budget, make it feel less dependent on like indie games that are pixelated. And this section is Ryan Selvy's thoughts, as always. I personally think that it is a downgrade. I can see the call for maybe some updates to legibility with the idea of depending on red and orange as a divider for Red Octane. This kind of looks like Rito Catane. I personally really like the pixel. I understand that maybe it doesn't make them think that it would then be important, but I think it's scalable. I think that it would be I would see it, and if they had a AAA game I would still be able to like make that connection. It just feels like a retro logo. I don't know why they decided to kind of take out the character, but I think it's a miss, and so I would give it a thumbs down. But yeah, Lyndon Taylor is saying it feels kind of bland and forgettable. And I agree. That's kind of what I'm running into, too. I'm having an issue. Umacorn saying downgrade indeed, should have kept the pixel. The glow up is not as whimsical at all. So I'm glad we're all in agreement here. And like I said, this is, of course, my opinion. This is not Adobe as an official company bringing things down. But logos are super important. And if I were to not show you guys who is Baylor and who is Boston University, which one would you say belongs to which one? This is coming from Creative Block, another great website. This is from Natalie Fear. It was published only 10 hours ago. I saw this morning. It says, there's been an ongoing battle for the BU brand as Baylor has recently filed a lawsuit against Boston University over an alleged identical logo. The design dispute has been raging since 1987. That's like 30 years older than me. When Baylor registered for the rights to use the BU mark, only to be swiftly denied by Boston. Now, almost 40 years later, the ball is in Baylor's court, with calls for the rival institution to destroy all of its infringing merchandise. While it seems there are new heated design disputes rocking the internet every week, this branding standoff between the universities proves that some brand beef is never laid to rest. Despite minor disparities between the two identities, the similarities are hard to deny, making the dispute a complex case of heritage and identity. If you read the whole article, it goes into the whole thing. I don't want to plagiarize and just read it word for word. That was the first paragraph here of this article, but make sure you check out Natalie Fear's work. I definitely, yeah, it literally looks like the exact same logo. I am shocked. I don't know who was first, but Winter Powell was saying, yeah, no clue which belongs to who, which is very true. Then Umacore saying, change it, please. You can make it better. Yeah, right? Like, there's other ways that you could make the BU, but I mean, I guess the same idea of heritage and tradition, and especially with these colleges, people really identify with them. But just as important, Pizza Hut, you know? This is coming from Brand Inquirer. This is a Instagram that I follow, Instagram account that I follow, and apparently there's an update to the international version of Pizza Hut's logo. They have now made it more in line with the US version. It now has this kind of slanted thing. It has a weird hot little H extender. The Z's now go down into the U. And it says that the new logo now aligns more closely with the updated US logo introduced in 2019, but features a subtle differences such as a slanted design, a new word mark with double Z overlapping. It works, you know. I think Pizza Hut is good branding. I think they have the iconic hut, the iconic hat. Even when you see a decommissioned Pizza Hut building, you can drive by it, and it always says has a Pizza Hut. So they have very strong brand recognition. I haven't had a Pizza Hut near me where I live in the last 30 years. They shut my Pizza Hut down when I was really little. But I have my own, ideas of what the brand is, but I do think that this feels fresh and nice and would maybe make me consider eating there. But Winter is agreeing. It says, not hating it. It works. Yeah, I think that this is a strong one. It is a nice update without it being nice. Clever says that it looks like a warning label. Pizza Hot. Yeah, that is true. That is true, which isn't... It's not bad either, right? Like, Pizza Hot, you want your pizza to be hot, right? You're not necessarily upset about that. I don't know. We got about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to jump on over, and we're going to hop into resources. All right, so this first resource comes from Pat Jacker. I asked him about the ability to be able to show this on stream. He said it was cool. And it is a very quick breakdown of being able to create designs that are cool, but not so cool that they lose the ability to be animated. Because when you're designing something, you're going to want it to be legible, but also animatable. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring this in here. And you can see next. What's wrong? It says, girl, what's wrongant? The first version was cute, but there were too many fussy details in her hair, ears, pants, and shoes. Plus, her silhouette wasn't really silhouetting. And after a year of learning more about shape, language, and animation, I knew I could do better. So identifying that maybe there is some open jeans, no too many lines. There's weird things up the side. It says, let's start with some character psychology. Trushy's biggest flaw is that she always acts tougher than she is. So I built her face out, mostly round shapes, soft and insecure, but kept her expression and makeup sharp. So she still looks like she is that girl. 4 heads tall. I built the proportions about 4 heads stacked on top of each other. Why? It's easy to check consistency and animation. And although cartoon logic isn't always the most logic, cartoons love logic. Cartoons want to marry it, and you know it. Then using strong shapes in being able to have one black, big girl pants, no Vans. So simplifying those feet so that way it's not a specific thing of like detailed over and over and over again. And then also being able to have these pockets is really good. So just by making some small updates, it makes the character a lot more interesting, a lot easier to draw, and a lot more engaging and recognizable silhouette. Because we're always talking about silhouettes, right? We're always talking about the ability to black out an entire character and still be able to tell it's different from the one next to it. So check out Pat Jacker's work. I think that we'll even be looking at it next week, when Wade is taking over the show, which I will be on my honeymoon. So next up, we have the AE script sale. We've talked about this a bunch of times, but they are now on their 4th week. This is the 4th and last week of the AE summer script sale. This is a great website that, once again, this is just Ryan talking, has a bunch of really great plugins and resources for not only After Effects, but Premiere and other artistic programs. You can go through, and if you go to the sale details, it'll give you a full list of everyone here. Robyte has like Data Glitch, which you guys might have seen me use before. Pins and Boxes is also on there. Zabex is great. I use Signal constantly, Slit Scan. There's a bunch of, and then there's a lot of new ones that are even like I haven't even found yet. That Loopy is one that I use. So if you go on and you just take some time and flip through all of them, they're really great. Also, if you're just on the website at home, you can normally see something. And so if you go over something, you can see it says sale. And so like advanced color control is on there to check out. Umacorn doesn't have Pizza Hut. Have you ever had Pizza Hut in your life? That's the next question. DaVinci Eye is the next resource that I want to go over. This is something that obviously cannot replace learning how to draw, but I do think that it is something that could be really cool if you want to just take a break and maybe like draw something from actually observation, and then if you want to then say, okay, now I want to just at least have the muscle memory of the idea of what it is to draw it as close as possible. What it does is you take your phone and you put it like on top of a cup, or you put it on like a little tiny like magnetic tripod or something, and you take the photo and you can essentially put it on top on a lower opacity, so then you can look through the DaVinci Eye app and then be able to draw it directly underneath. I'm going to see if I can find a video for it. This is just like a cool idea that I think, like I said, like you don't want to do this and then just have this replace the ability to learn how to draw. But I do think that it is something that would be able to like help you with muscle memory. So maybe like a really good process here would be draw it from observation, then have a picture of it, draw it using this method of being able to kind of like draw under and like essentially trace it, and then for the 3rd time go back and draw from observation again. And I think the things that you'll learn here are things that your brain will remember, or you'll just be able to have muscle memory, or you will just personally remember it, and then you're able to apply it for more. Because sometimes you just continue to make the same mistake over and over and over and over and over again, and without any sort of correction or critique or feedback or comparison, it's really impossible to be able to find out what is going wrong, because you're like, I'm doing my hardest, and you just keep making the same mistake without being able to realize that like maybe you always draw the upper lip to be way smaller than the bottom lip. So I haven't tried this out myself, but I got served an ad for it, and I thought it was really neat, so I wanted to share it along with you guys as well. Bruce is excited about the poll. It looks like, yeah, so we've got a lead for Placato right now at 42%. If that upsets you, you've got about 5 minutes to make a change. Then we have Boom Briefs. This is coming from Creative Boom, another website that is really great at reporting industry news. This one, though, is now a resource because they are now creating a spot where you're able to update your portfolio through prompts that they are putting on. So this is something similar kind of like to Adobe challenges that we have each week that you can have either in one of the Discords or off of like the daily creative challenges. but they're doing a thing where they're updating with these fictional briefs, and it's always just great to have one. So they have like a creative retreat, talking about like making a creative retreat, the logo, the branding, all the stuff, the marketing, the colors. And this is just going to be, it says, each month they drop a fresh creative prompt designed to get your brains buzzing. They aren't your typical design a logo for coffee shop briefs. They're challenges that push you to think differently, experiment, and most importantly, create something entirely new purely for the joy of it. No client breathing down your neck, no budget constraints, or brand guidelines to wrestle with. Just you, a prompt, and the freedom to go wherever your mind takes you. Their first challenge is the retreat. It says they asked designers to imagine their dream creative retreat and design their identity for it. The prompt was intentionally open, cozy and quiet, bold and bizarre, up in a mountain forest, you decide. And it's a good place to get inspiration, maybe things for yourself to be able to do. And yeah. And then the last piece that we have here for resources today is the Charles Dickens Illustrated Gallery. This is a available collection of a bunch of different illustrations from Charles Dickens imagery. This is a 2,000 illustrative gallery, it says. It says taken from the most important and interesting illustrated editions of Charles Dickens' works from 1836 to 1912. The gallery contains all the original illustrations, the household edition, the library edition, and 500 illustrations by Harry Furness, and the Paris edition of the Christmas books from 1912. Each page contains some information about the novel or collection in question, but if you would like to know more about the gallery, head to the About section. And this is really interesting too because it's all before copyright, so all of this stuff is free domain, unless they have some weird exception. But since it's before now, like 1926 or whatever, any of this stuff is fair game for you. So whether it's an inspiration or you actually want to copy and paste it and directly reference it or collage with it or use it in your designs, you should be able to. But it's really cool. They have so many, and they have all the different stories, and it also made me remember a bunch of different illustrations or stories that I read or was read to growing up. Tale of Two Cities, Christmas Carol, Oliver Twist, all the classics. But yeah, guys, let's go. I guess we could do one spotlight because we have like 3 minutes left before we round out. I want to look at design spells. All right. This is just a design spell for the Reddit app. This is a really cool Threads account that I actually follow. And it just highlights different design experiences and apps. This is a Reddit update that when you pull down to refresh the page, it creates a little running alien, what's his name? Snoo, right? And he even, like, as you're pulling him down, you can see he is ready to go, and then he runs for it. So he's running, and he goes, and then he pops back up. Also, I really like the orange, how it expands as it's going back up to show you that it's done. Design spells, I know we have mentioned them and featured them in previous episodes. It's just a really great source of inspiration, whether it's from apps or full websites. I like to even look at it to then be able to then apply it to my own personal work for motion design, and you name it. Cool. That is going to be it for us. I'm going to go back, though, real quick, and we're going to declare our font of the week. So, between Crack, or maybe it's just Crack, Murasalt, and Placato, the winner we currently have, with how many votes? With 26 votes, the winner, as I end the poll, is, drumroll, Placato. So, congratulations to Placato. Lots of glyphs, lots of fun. Anything with a smiley face I'm happy about. But I'll be sure to put this into the Discord chat for you guys. Make sure you join the Discord. Key says that is like a digital Lucida and a Lightbox mix. I don't know the reference, but yeah, sure. Oliver says that's the right font one, which is great. Plaque Attack says clever. And YouTube says woohoo. Liz and Taylor saying great show as always. Congrats and have an amazing and safe honeymoon. Catch you later. Yeah, thank you guys. Next week will be Wade taking over, so there will still be Final New, same time, same place, with Wade, and he always does a really good job of taking over. And then I'll be back the week after, all married up and whatnot. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for the well wishes. Thanks for hanging out as always. Also, love to hear how you guys liked with Jacob hosting like a week or two ago. I really am having fun with the idea of having guest hosts when I'm out so that we don't miss the show. Make sure you share this with your friends. Give it a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And Keys was talking about the DaVinci app. All right, so that was a way go. I totally missed that one. Thank you, Bree, for the well wishes. Goodbye, Winter. Goodbye, Bree. Goodbye, everyone else. Make sure you guys hop on over to Twitch next because Twitch is coming up. I believe it is Creative Retouching with Bella Kotek, and then later today is CA and LA. But right now, right when we go off, the next thing is going to be Twitch. So, thank you all. I'll see you real soon. And thanks for watching. Okay, bye.